Metropolis, Illinois, home to 15-foot statues, comic book museums, and a borrowed mythology. But long before this town claimed a fictional alien as its hero, it produced something far more remarkable, a flesh and blood Superman named Hawk Taylor. The Fortress of Knowledge proudly presents The Hawk of Metropolis. April 3rd, 1939. While the world braced for war, Vance and Velma Taylor welcomed their first son, Robert Dale, into a world where dreams were luxuries and survival was the game. The boy called himself Hawk, after a movie serial hero he'd seen at the Saturday matinee, Hawk of the Wilderness, a story about a man who could survive anywhere, conquer anything. By age 12, Hawk wasn't playing with boys his own age anymore. He was competing against grown men, holding his own on local teams alongside his uncles, one of whom had already made it to the major leagues. That Taylor boy could do three things nobody else in southern Illinois could do: run like a deer, throw like a cannon, and hit a baseball to Kentucky. At Metropolis Community High School, Hawk became mythical. 4 sports, 4 letters, the single-season scoring record in basketball, a force on the gridiron, but it was baseball that made scouts drive 400 miles to watch a kid from Little Egypt. Spring of 1957, his senior season. 14 games, a batting average of .650, 10 home runs, and 1 ball that cleared the roof of the local ballpark entirely, a shot that people in Massac County still talk about today. The Milwaukee Braves, the Chicago Cubs, the Yankees, they all came calling. The bidding war ended at 4:30 in the morning on May 30th, 1957. Hours after his high school graduation, Hawk Taylor signed a contract for $119,000, one of the richest rookie deals in baseball history to this point. A Philadelphia columnist said he'd stepped out of his graduation gown and into a basket of gold. For a truck driver's son from Metropolis, it was generational wealth. 1957 World Series, Milwaukee Braves celebrating. The bonus rule: any player signed for more than $4,000 had to stay on the major league roster for 2 full years. No minor leagues, no development, no room to fail. 18 years old. 1 week he's facing high school pitchers in Illinois. The next, he's sharing a locker room with 4 future Hall of Famers on a team fighting for a pennant. Manager Fred Haney couldn't risk playing him. The starting catcher was an all-star. Hawk Taylor got a World Series ring at 18 years old. He played 1 inning, got 1 at bat. Years later, he'd say, "I thought this was just how it worked. I took it for granted." 2 years on the bench, watching, waiting. By the time he finally got to the minor leagues to actually learn the game, he was 21 and his development had been stunted. Then came the Berlin crisis, 1961. Hawk served his country during the Cold War. He came back with a leg injury that robbed him of his greatest weapon, his speed. In 1964, he was traded to the New York Mets, a team so bad they'd lost 120 games 2 years earlier. But chaos meant opportunity. The first pinch-hit grand slam in Mets history, a 3-run home run off Sandy Koufax, the most dominant pitcher of the era. 5 for 5 against Houston. One of the first to catch Tom Seaver and played left field when Jim Bunning threw a perfect game. The wit of a survivor, a man who knew his role and played it with dignity. California Angels, Kansas City Royals, 13 years in the big leagues, 394 games, a career batting average of .218, the permanent scar of lost development time. On September 22nd, 1970, at 31 years old, Hawk Taylor's playing days ended. But his story didn't end in bitterness or regret. Using the GI Bill, Hawk went back to school, Murray State University, a bachelor's degree, then a master's. For decades, he gave back to the game in the only place that mattered to him: home, Murray State, Lambeth College, Paducah Community College, Cairo High School. He taught physical education. He coached hundreds of young players, including his own sons, one of whom spent 6 years in the Phillies farm system. He married Marie, a music professor, and they built a life on Kentucky Lake. 49 years together, hunting, fishing, living the life that a boy named after a wilderness hero always dreamed of. June 9th, 2012. Exactly 55 years to the day after his major league debut, Hawk Taylor died at 73 years old. He was cremated and laid to rest at Pell Cemetery in Brookport, in the same Massac County soil where he once hit baseballs over rooftops. Today, tourists come to Metropolis to see a statue of an invulnerable alien who never existed. But the archives remember a different kind of Superman, one who was injured, who struggled, who was handed a basket of gold at 18 and spent the rest of his life earning it. Hawk Taylor couldn't fly. He couldn't see through walls. But he did something no comic book character ever could. He lived. And in a small town on the Ohio River, that made him the genuine article.